What's up guys, and welcome back to Wall Street Millennial. On this channel, we cover all things stocks and investing. Today we're going to go over some of the greatest trades on the Wallstreetbets forum from the past week so we can learn from other people's experiences. First on the list is user Voluptuation. This trader has been holding tens of thousands of dollars in AMD calls. He initially put in $90,000 into buying 100 contracts of 122 strike calls. AMD's stock briefly reached $119 for a short period of time last week. It's been in the middle of a huge uptrend over the past couple weeks, but in the last few trading sessions, it seems to have taken a breather. Although the current share price of around $114 is within striking distance of the 122 strike price, theta decay has made this trader's options position bleed out by more than half its value. With 100 contracts, the total price he paid allows us to calculate the price per call. $90,000 of initial capital for a total of 10,000 calls means each call cost him $9. That puts the break-even price at $131 per share of AMD. They expire in about 1 month, on September 3rd, 2021. If AMD is able to resume the uptrend, then it could easily reach and significantly surpass that level. But if this is just the end of the line for the run-up, the OP might lose the entire rest of his position. Commenter Lone Wolf Sigma says that this post is an example of jumping on the bandwagon too late due to FOMO. It's a common trap that some people fall into when they see large gains on the forum and want to replicate the success. Unfortunately, as the saying goes, if you're seeing gain posts on Wallstreetbets for a stock, you're probably already too late. Better luck next time. Next we have a Robinhood trader called Bagholder69. However, he hasn't been true to that username. He bought $21,000 worth of 150 strike Apple calls 1 week before expiry in the middle of July. At the time, Apple was on a multi-week uptrend and had just pulled back from nearly hitting $150 per share. It seemed reasonable to think that it could hit $150 a share within about a week. Unfortunately, it then pulled back to $142 and hasn't reached $150 since. This trader then got out of his position on July 19th, selling his calls for 26 cents each. Off a base of $1.30 each, that amounts to an 80% loss. After that disaster, his portfolio has finally finished its accelerating trend downward. He now has lost more than 98% of his portfolio doing options YOLOs like this one. Now he only has $280 left in his Robinhood account. He calls himself Bagholder, but if he had just held onto those Apple calls just a day or two longer, it's possible that he could have saved himself some of those losses. The very next day after he sold, Apple rose halfway to the strike price of $150 a share. Then again, by the expiry date of July 23rd, the calls would have expired worthless. This just goes to show that the difference between a gain, a loss, and getting completely wiped out can be just a matter of days when it comes to options. Next we have an enormous 6-figure gain on a trade on AMD. AMD has had an incredible past couple weeks. After reporting earnings where the company doubled revenue year over year, investors have responded with enthusiasm. Luckily, Wallstreetbets has been bullish on the company for some time now. This trader was so confident that he bought 100 contracts of $100 strike calls expiring in a few months. He bought them for $3 per option, bringing his total investment up to $30,000. After the past 2 weeks saw AMD's share price increase from $90 to $110, those calls are now comfortably in the money. The result is a 440% gain, or a massive $132,000. The OP actually says that he first started trading AMD 4 years ago. Since then, he claims to have made over $1 million in realized gains, which he's used to buy a house and a car. AMD has been one of the great winners of the past 5 years. It was only trading at about $7 a share back in 2016, when it was a clear second behind rival Intel. But with the new Zen architecture, its consumer CPUs from the Ryzen line have won over serious gamers, and its enterprise-grade CPUs from the EPYC line have converted many server manufacturers. For those insightful enough to have seen it coming, it's been a great ride. Congratulations on your life-changing gains. Next we have user Oliver. This trader decides to bet $100,000 that the broad market would close significantly lower on August 13th. At the time of the post, SPY was trading about $441 a share. This trader owned out-of-the-money puts with a strike price of $425. You'd have to go back an entire month to find a time when it was below that strike price, and even then it only briefly dipped below $425 by about 3 cents. The OP says that he is middle class and the trade was a big one for him. which makes it a little strange that he would risk $100,000 on a single trade like this, especially on an index option. With an index like the S&P, there are much fewer catalysts that you could have a view on in order to try to make a trade. You can't really play earnings releases or other events like for individual stocks. Also, betting against the S&P has a long track record of wrecking bears. User I Sell Good Quality Good says that he used to do these types of trades too, although with much smaller amounts. He thinks it's better not to try to guess on short-term movements that are ultimately probably just random. Instead, he prefers to just follow the crowd with more traditional investment styles. Hopefully, this trader will be able to make up for his losses with some future gains. Next up, we have a very nice weekly gain for user Farmer314. He's up $26,000 in just 5 days, off a base of about $36,000. Most of his gains are on calls on Nvidia, the giant graphics processor maker. In the past week, Nvidia has had an incredibly low volatility move up from $195 a share to $205 a share. Although that's just a 5% gain, our trader held at the money calls on the stock. In particular, his 16 contracts of $190 strike calls made up the majority of his gains. $14,000 from these alone. His other calls with $100 strikes also made money, about $800 worth. But his $2 or $3.75 strike calls were still out of the money at the time of the screenshot, so they were actually down a little over $1,000. But now that those are $3 in the money, it's likely that they will end up being profitable too. Despite this nice weekly gain, a commenter asks what about the 52-week chart? That's the problem with options gains, it's much harder to consistently make a profit over a long period of time. All too often, traders are able to make one good trade and have a week or two of huge gains, but then lose some or all in future trades. Hopefully this doesn't happen to this trader. Congratulations on your massive gains. Next we have another tragic loss on a huge AMC trade. User Yaz2684 owns more than 1,000 shares of AMC. Unfortunately, this trader bought AMC for an average cost basis of $47.50 per share. Over the past month, the stock has fallen from about that level down to the low 30s. That's approximately a 33% decline in 1 month. Obviously, that's a painful loss to take on any large investment. Despite the $18,500 loss, on the bright side, this user only owned stocks and not calls. If he had owned calls, the losses would have been much steeper. Also, he is definitely not alone in his AMC pain. Many WallStreetBets traders have been having a rough month since the glory days of June. AMC had its glory days, and it seems to be losing steam recently. Some people think that AMC is the subject of fraudulent market manipulation and ready for another short squeeze. Some think that it's just a pump and dump that is now over, and others seem to want to stay in AMC no matter what the true situation is. The only thing that you can say for sure about AMC is that its highest highs and its lowest lows can be separated sometimes by only a matter of weeks. Alright guys, that wraps it up for this video. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe so you don't miss future uploads. Also, let us know what trades you're in right now in the comments section below. As always, thank you so much for watching and we'll see you in the next video. Wall Street Millennial, signing out.